All right. Welcome back, everyone. Welcome back, welcome back, welcome back to another episode of Dank Times Danker Thoughts with me, Angelo Grosso. And as you guys could probably have guessed since the last podcast, things have been a little bit topsy turvy for me. Not just me, but since I'm the one talking here, I'm only going to talk about me. A little update from the last podcast. My father is back in the hospital. He came home briefly. Was it July 1st? I don't remember. The 4th of July was on a Sunday. He came home that Thursday evening before, but he went back on the 4th of July around midday. Long story short, same thing. He was discharged from the hospital, told that he's urinating without blood, there's no more clotting, blah, 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 blah. Go home and rest, and your appointment with the urologist is in about 2 weeks. So he did that. Did not have a catheter this time. But lo and behold, he felt pressure every single day, and he passed a little bit of blood every single day, but still nothing major. But on the 4th of July, it was just too much. And he went back in, and sure enough, they've been washing clots out of him ever since. He has not been able to go 24 hours without passing some level of blood clotting. His prostate, normally people's prostate should be about the size of a walnut. His prostate is currently the size of a softball, and he also may or may not have multiple kidney stones. So it's kind of a shit show. And so the poor son of a bitch just has to be at the hospital being doped up. And every day I'm going to his house, getting his mail, his newspaper, cleaning up a little bit, taking care of his cat, Diva, who I love, just like my own cat. And Elaine, his girlfriend, has come over in the evening to take care of his plants and whatnot. So, he's still getting work done out of us. I had to even run some errands for him, go to the post office and whatnot. But hopefully soon he will see the specialist and they can at least have a plan of attack. He, of course, my father thought that he needed to take the prostate out. He was told that that would not be a good idea by the doctors and the nurses. So he had then thought of some kind of tuck. You know how there's the weight loss surgery where you can basically staple your stomach inside of itself to make it smaller. Kind of the same thing. I think it's called tucking. You could do that with his enlarged prostate, which is still a possibility. However, it's still too early to tell anything. I just feel bad for him because he's been in and out of the hospital now 3 times in about 2.5 weeks, and they're slowly getting answers, but you would think in 2021 you would figure things out more quickly, but you can preach patience. I let my father just rant and rave. I really want to tell him, well, there's other people in the hospital, not just you. Not everything is revolving around you and your prostate, but that's not going to help anybody, so I just, go along with it. But yeah, it's tough. And I just hope that those of you that do have parents that are getting on up there in years, that you start to pay attention a little bit more to their health, to their mental state. And like I said in the last podcast, you may have to start having those difficult, uncomfortable conversations about beneficiaries, about power of attorneys, medical and financial, updating the wills, just getting shit in order. I also want to give a shout out to the few of you that listened to my podcast that reached out to me afterwards to make sure I was doing okay and to just give me your support. And I'm not asking for anything, but that was nice to receive well wishes. But my father and I, we kind of have a morbid outlook on the seriousness of life and death, meaning we don't get that upset or cagey or depressed when thinking about death. I'm excited to die in the sense that I want to see what's next. Whether it be just nothingness and once I die and my atoms break down and I go back into the cosmos, and my atoms are broken down to individual elements of hydrogen and carbon, and I just get to swirl around the cosmos again. Maybe I'll land on an asteroid and fly into another planet or a black hole or something, I don't know. Or I'll wake up on clouds with a bunch of angels wearing golden halos talking to me about, have you heard the good word? And I'll think, son of a bitch, I don't want to be in this fucking boring place. If heaven is like that, if heaven is just a pyramid scheme run by Mormons, get me the fuck out of there. But my father and I have talked pretty openly about his death or coming death for the last couple of years. Really since I lived with him about 7 or 8 years ago. He did not want to be buried. He still does not want to be buried. He's even iffy about getting cremated. I think if it was up to him, he would just throw him in the ditch. He really doesn't care. He says that, I think, because of his love of gardening and nature. And when I told him about this new fad of dressing the dead in like a fungus or mushroom kind of suit, burying them without a coffin, so that you are literally being given back to the earth. Personally, I would love to go out like that myself. Yes, LaFonda, I don't know if I could do that with you. You, I think I'm going to cremate, but I don't want to think about that. It's too upsetting. But I'll cremate you. I'll be one of those crazy cat owners that will have my cat's ashes up on the fireplace. I'm not going to stuff you, though, like a taxidermist. That's one step too far for your boy here. But I have talked to my father about how would he like to go out if it was up to him. And of course, in his sleep, painless, no suffering. But the odds of that happening, who knows? I don't know how common that is. I don't know how common people die when it comes to being in a hospital bed surrounded by your loved ones, or being at home surrounded by your loved ones, or you're scuba diving and a great white shark takes your leg off and you bleed to death as other animals swim up to your slowly decaying corpse. Who knows what's more common? I do not know. Maybe you're kicked to death by a cow. I was just reading that Montana has had a rash of bear attacks, and a 65-year-old woman was taken off of her bike by a bear and mauled to death. I mean, Jesus fucking Christ. What a way to go out. You live 65 years, you're still out there riding your bike, staying healthy, staying fit, and a fucking bear takes you out. A bear. I'm not sure there's a worse animal to be killed by than a bear. You could argue the bigger the animal, the quicker you would die, maybe. Like, if a giant cat gets you, like a lion or a puma or a cougar, giant cats tend to go for the neck and throat immediately. The fight would be brutal, but the actual death would be quick. Now, a bear, those fucking assholes just start taking chunks out of you, and unless they start with your face, it's going to be a slow, agonizing death. Much like Dr. Alan Grant was talking in Jurassic Park with the velociraptors, you are alive when they start to eat you. That is what bears do. That is what sharks do. That is what hyenas do. You know who doesn't play that bullshit move? Giant cats. What else? That's about it. Most other apex predators will kill you any way they can, but the giant cats tend to go for the neck and jugular. Let's see, bears, hippos, hyenas, sharks. For them, maybe whales, the killer whales. I'm trying to think of any other apex predator that just eats you no matter what, and I can't think of one, because every other apex predator is very good at killing an animal. Except those asshole Komodo dragons. They will just bite you, and you'll think, oh, it's a flesh wound, but their spit and saliva is so poisonous. I mean, it's straight devil cum right there. And once that disgusting death jizz gets into your bloodstream, you're gonna die no matter what. You're dying agonizingly slow, and they will just follow you. They won't attack you again, but the smell of the bite, even if you clean it, they can still smell it inside your blood. They will track you like the slowest Freddy Krueger serial killer movie you've ever seen. And then once you can't walk anymore and you fall on the beach, because that's where the Komodo dragons are. Komodo, the island, it's an island, so they're always on the beach. So once you fall face first on the sand and then you feel that first one on top of you, I mean, I don't know what it's like to be devoured by a dinosaur. Got to be close to that. It's got to be close to that. But anyway, I'm going off the rails here. Back to my father and me. I told him, what would it take for you to be euthanized? And he said, oh, quite simply, if I get to a point where I cannot take care of myself, meaning I can't wipe, I can't dress, I can't bathe myself, and if I'm a liability leaving the house, if I'm only able to live with the assistance of my loved ones or, a staff at a nursing home or what do they call those hospitals you go before you die? You know what I'm talking about. When you're literally on your last legs, whatever. And then they try to make your passing as comfortable and peaceful as possible. You know what I'm talking about. I'm drawing a blank on words. So my father has a long list of reasons why he would just go out on his own terms. And I told him, if you do plan on going out on your own terms, may I, as your only son that we know of, as your only son, may I suggest a method? And I played for him the infamous Doug Stanhope killing mother bit. Now, Doug Stanhope is the Hunter S. Thompson of stand-up comedy. If you don't know who he is, check him out. The majority of you probably will not like him, but the truly cool guys and gals that listen to this podcast will love him because you have class. Long story short, he does a bit about a similar situation with his mother, who had multiple cancers and just wanted to go out on her own terms. And as she got worse and worse and worse, her state of life was getting worse, and she decided to, cash out, as she put it. And I won't ruin the bit because I think everyone should check it out. But basically, the family decided to go out on their own terms, meaning let's have a party, let's get wasted, let's take a bunch of meds, let's watch your favorite movies, listen to your favorite music, and let's just talk until you pass. And I played it for my father. He did not find it funny, but he liked the idea. Now, I don't know if now is an opportune time to revisit that plan that I have with my old man, but once he's out of the hospital and once I gauge his physical and mental acuity, well, really, his emotional acuity as well, I'll have that conversation with him, because if this is going to be an ongoing issue with him, not only will we have to double check all the paperwork, which I'll give my father credit, he has already done everything and he constantly updates things, but we need to update power of attorney. I have to make sure his financial stuff is the way it's set up, is that it will be a smooth transition to myself, to Elaine, to charities, however he wants. We just have to have that talk. 9 out of 10 fathers and sons would consider that talk very abnormal and very uncomfortable. But if you're like me and my old man, we talk about this shit like it's no big deal. That's just how our relationship is. So, there's an update. Thanks for listening to last week's podcast. I really needed to vent. I felt pretty good after I recorded. And I had to take a few days off, people. I've been very busy, and I haven't been sleeping well. How odd. Coincidentally, I'm not sleeping too good, while I had to cancel all of my 4th of July plans. My father's in the hospital, and I have other family issues going on. Oh, by the way, I've had house issues as well. My alarm going randomly off, my kitchen sink handle flying off, and I could go down the litany of issues, but it does not matter. Let's move on. Life is pretty good, all things considered. I remind myself that on the daily. It's okay to feel like shit. It's okay to say woe is me, but I think it's also important to realize, you know what? It's not all doom and gloom. Things are doing pretty good. Hey, at least I'm not a war criminal like our president, am I right? I just want to take this moment to remind everybody that if you live in the United States, the last 4 presidents, and I'm sure every single president since World War II technically is a war criminal, but the last 4, Bush Jr., Obama, Trump, and now Biden, have all skirted the rules to bomb sovereign nations without getting approval from, I don't know, anybody in the Senate, anybody in the House, anybody from the UN. And normally, if a nation did that is not America, the world would freak out. I would place all of my chips on this bet that America would lose their shit if, say, Norway dropped bombs on Sweden. I just pick random countries. I don't fucking know. Now, let me rewind things back to 2001, where post 9/11, everyone was blinded by patriot pride, even though we didn't really know who we were angry at because the mass majority of the world had reasons to hate America. We looked at the country of Iraq, even though zero proof, zero evidence showed that the terrorists that did 9/11 came from there. We had evidence showing that they came from Saudi Arabia, Jordan, and other nations. However, Iraq was not on the list. However, without authorization, every single, well, I shouldn't say every single, the mass majority of the politicians in the day said, yes, we should go to war. You know who didn't, by the way, was Bernie Sanders. Do you know who said we absolutely should go into Iraq right away? Hillary Clinton, Joe Biden, and all the Republicans. So they can all go fuck themselves. And so I don't need to regurgitate the awfulness and tragedy that is the Iraq War. But it started a interesting trend where the U.S. president said, hey, I don't have to get authorization. I know we had to before, but I'm the president. And so, as executive action, we bombed Iraq. And that was the last time that there was any kind of vote for the illegal bombing of a sovereign nation. And the government learned back in 2001 and 2002 that, you know what, next time we shouldn't even have a vote, because then the press and the public will use that against us when we run for re-election. I know I'm asking a lot of you to remember things that happened 15, 20 years ago, but if you remember in 2008, the presidential election, a lot of Democratic hopefuls were saying, hey, I did not vote for the Iraq War. Mike Gravel was one of them. I played one of his debate moments from the 2008 election cycle. The Hillarys of the world and the Bidens of the world during those Democratic debates still defended it, and only later did they say, you know what, intelligence was wrong. They had to pass the buck. Now, I don't mind them saying the intelligence was wrong, but what they should have said, the intelligence lied. Or I was lied to, and then you know what, I lied to as well. Or, in the case of Biden and Hillary, we knew what we were saying, but we still lied. That's truthful what happened. Now, there are a lot of politicians that I believe that did not know the truth of what was happening in Iraq. But I truly believe that the higher-ups, the front-runners, as Mike Gravel said back in the day, knew everything. So, that was Bush Jr. So, in comes Obama. Bright, fresh new face, the new JFK, whatever you want to say. He did the same thing in Libya. Now, I'm not going to go, again, into the depths here, but like Iraq, President Obama did not get approval from anybody and ignored Congress. He misled America, just like Bush Jr. did, and attacked a sovereign nation of Libya, hoping to make it better. And I'm pretty sure that if you look up Libya on a map, it's not even on a map. You know what Libya used to be a country. It wasn't a great country for anyone that wasn't a man, don't get me wrong. If you're a woman or a gay, life was fucking awful. But still, it had, for the lack of a better word, a foundation of a society that hopefully could have some positive change towards democracy. But that's not what we did. We bombed the living fuck out of them and let terrorism grow, and now Libya is not even a state. It is basically a, what do they call it? Not a West world, but it's basically like Battle World, where you just have all these different terrorist factions fighting there. You have actual slave auctions happening in Libya. Yes, slavery's still around, people. It's not just in Africa, it's in the Middle East as well. And you know what? It's probably all over the place, unfortunately. So, good job, Obama. You fucked up. I don't care what you say. You can defend Obama. I will defend Obama in a lot of things. Foreign policy, we haven't had a good president that had a good foreign policy. Geez, since... I really don't know. I'd have to really try hard to think. I know Clinton, if my memory serves me correct, I can't think of anything negative Clinton did abroad, but I bet if I looked up his record, I would find it to be checkered at best. And then we move on to Trump, which, again, he did not get any kind of approval for the assassination of Qasem Soleimani, which I'm not going to shed any tears for Qasem Soleimani. The guy was a monster. However, you can't just go into a sovereign nation like Syria and bomb the living fuck out of this area trying to get one guy. So again, he did not get approval. You did not get to the United Nations to get their approval. You did not even get the neighboring nations' approval. Now, I understand when you're trying to assassinate a general, you can't tell the world, by the way, we're going to assassinate this general tomorrow. But still, there's proper channels. This sets a horrible precedent. There was a reason why there was not a vote taken in Congress who supported and who was against Obama bombing Libya. Same thing for Trump assassinating Soleimani in a sovereign nation. So now we come to our current president, the Mad Hatter himself, Joe Biden. And I will defend Biden against most criticism, not most, some criticism when it comes to domestic affairs. But when it comes to foreign affairs, he's just as bloodthirsty as the rest of them. So this latest attack in Syria, again, no permission, no approval, no vote, nothing. It is illegal. And yet no one says a goddamn thing. And if anything, Pelosi said right afterwards, well, I support the bombing. This was done, what I was told, as self-defense. Do you know what actually happened, people? I looked into it by multiple sources because I just couldn't believe that the president of the United States would go into Syria and bomb Iranian-backed militias. I mean, they tried muddling it by throwing in Syria, and then you throw in Iran, you throw in Iraq, and then you throw in Al-Qaeda. I mean, you throw in all these different terrorist groups and all these different nations, and it's very confusing. And I think that's what they want when you're trying to hide something illegal. But they're not hiding it at all. But anyway, this was being sold as a self-defense. We were returning fire, but that's not really what happened. We had an outpost. There was a few drone attacks on the outpost. However, the arsenal that was used in the drones are very small, and no soldier was hurt. No property damage was really done. There was a few burn marks on the actual wall, but very little was done, okay? If anything, it was more of a pot shot, or it's it's not that big of a deal. That's my point. When a fourth world country is doing that to arguably the biggest, strongest military in the world, I don't think there's any doubt about it. We are the monstrosity when it comes to the military. We decided to just go motherfucking ham on the people. So, I just want to remind everybody that is illegal. Terrorists were not the only ones that were killed during this latest bombing. Civilians were killed. Children were killed. Just like during Trump's Soleimani bombing, it wasn't just him that died. Other civilians were killed. But we just kind of wipe our hands and say, well, that's what they get. They shouldn't have been standing there. Why were those civilians by those dirty, bad Arabs? Fucking assholes. And what do war criminals like to do? When a journalist like a Julian Assange or a Edward Snowden or that guy who became a woman and is still in prison, I'm drawing a blank on her name, but you know who I'm talking about. When you have whistleblowers doing their job and saying, holy shit, this isn't right, and they leak things to the press, what war criminal presidents like to do is, instead of saying, you know what, American public, all of these leaks are correct. Julian Assange, Edward Snowden, they are correct. I overstepped my bounds. I want to cross the line. This sets a dangerous precedent. Thank you, Julian Assange. Thank you, Edward Snowden, for bringing this up to my attention and the American people's attention. That is what they should say. But instead, the cocksucking presidents, all four of them, Bush, Obama, Trump, and Biden, all four of them go hard in the paint after these whistleblowers. They want them dead. They want them hung for treason. And I think it's important to point out, since this is the anniversary of Julian Assange, the WikiLeaks, that nobody died from these leaks. Nothing Edward Snowden or Julian Assange did caused any American or otherwise around the world, nobody died because of what they did. If anything, they should be hailed as heroes. They should be put on our money, which I know I've already did a segment on, but I may create a whole new bill just to put whistleblowers on there. And I'm not going to make this a U.S. president's versus a journalist speech, because I can go on and on and on and on about this. I just think it's important to point out that you need to start connecting the dots. If you're having back-to-back-to-back-to-back presidents doing illegal things, those illegal things get found and released by whistleblowers, and instead of those whistleblowers being hailed as heroes, they're instead shot down as traitors. I will never forget the Obamas and the Bidens of the world calling Assange a traitor. And all he did under the Obama administration was release information saying, you know what, America's committing war crimes, and here's all the details. Yeah, we bombed a Yemen wedding, and 99% of the people that got killed there were civilians and children. That's what they were releasing. So let me get this straight. Journalists that break actual news, this is actual news. This isn't the news you see on CNN or Fox News. This isn't culture war bullshit. This isn't, oh, we got to cancel Dr. Seuss. Oh, critical race theory. Oh, the border. Oh, all that fucking bullshit. None of it matters, man. The U.S. president is killing civilians abroad and then fighting the journalists when they break the news. Do you know what the Obama administration did for the New York Times after the New York Times took the Julian Assange information and leaked and released it through the New York Times? Not a goddamn thing, because the New York Times is the New York Times. But you know who they can go after? The New York Times' source. Oh, WikiLeaks. And if I remember correctly, WikiLeaks was a hero on the left side for a long time, up until Hillary and Trump. And WikiLeaks released all of Hillary's redacted emails, and suddenly, oh, Assange is a pro-Trumper. No, Hillary's just a fucking cunt, and she never should have been up there as the president nomination. Let's also not forget Snowden releasing a lot of information about illegal wiretapping, basically showing America as a police state and how they don't have to get dick all to get authorization to hack your phone, your computer, your social media. Nothing. No, they just do it. Hey, if you're okay with it, great. But most people aren't. And at the very least, the government should have said, hey, we're going to do this. Let's have a vote about it. Instead, Snowden broke the news. Oh my God, Edward Snowden is a goddamn traitor. No, he's not. You are. Because you have to treat whistleblowers, for the most part, all the same. Julian Assange and Edward Snowden are no different than what happened back in the Nixon presidency and Watergate. Journalists, good journalists, break massive undercover stories. That is what they do. And they need to be encouraged to do so and defended. I mean, just look how Trump handled the Khashoggi murder in Saudi Arabia. Nothing. Well, surely the Democrats would do something about it once they take the presidency. Nope, nothing. So, excuse me for not being super patriotic about how our government over the past 20 years, and really since World War II, has just said, fuck all to international law. We're going to bomb who we want to bomb. take what we want to take, torture who we want to torture. And sure, some whistleblowers are great, but if anything comes out against us, we're going to go hard after them. We want them to get the death penalty. You know, what good nations do. No, that is what dying empires do. But anyway, let's move on to something a little bit more happy. Angelo's journal. It's been a couple weeks, I think, at least a couple podcasts since I've read from the journal. But, before I get to that, actually, don't really have any updates with the dating life because I haven't really been on them since, all the medical stuff with my family has been going down. I did download OkCupid, and I started to set up the app, but then once I got to writing the bio and uploading the photos, I just got super angry and depressed, and I thought, fuck that. So I'm taking a little break. I'm still on Facebook and another one, I don't know. And there's a few girls I'm still talking to. There's a connection with all three of them, and really there's a strong connection with one of them. However, these are all girls that are not in the vicinity of America as we speak. And 9 out of 10 times I stop talking to them, or I say, oh, this isn't going to work. Or if I'm horny and lonely at the time, I'll be like, well, let's talk a little bit, see what we got here, and maybe I can get some nudes or something. I'm not proud of those thoughts, but it's a common one. But the ones I'm talking to now, I'm trying to build something here because I haven't had much luck with these American broads lately. And one of my best relationships, I was very immature at the time, and I wish I could go back with my brain now into that body, was when I was dating my lady friend from Japan. It's a little shitty, though, because you do want them to be near you and whatnot, but the danger is, really, because I'm jumping all over the place. The benefits are you get to know someone pretty well once you understand that they are who they are, and once you break that uncomfortable barrier of honesty. You don't know if they're being honest and truthful with you because it's all online or digital. You don't know. So that's why I think video calling is a big deal. You want to be very open with them in terms of what you're looking for, your past, your future, your hobbies. You don't want to build yourself up to be someone you're not. And it's super easy to do that online. I did it a couple times when I first started doing online dating. I started pretending I was who I wanted to be, and it was really shitty. Luckily, I caught on to what I was doing, and I thought, what the fuck am I doing? Not only am I building myself up to be someone fake and phony, but I'm giving this poor girl false expectations. And I have gone on first dates with girls who say they're one thing online, and then you see them in person, you're like, oh, that's all an act. Okay. And I think that's becoming, I hate to use the word epidemic because, COVID and all, but it really is becoming quite prevalent in our society with people my generation, I'm finding, because it's so easy to make yourself a model with these dating apps with all the filters and lenses and whatnot. And you're just being a complete phony. You really are. You write your bullshit photos, your bullshit hobbies and whatnot. And then when you get to talk to someone, you say all the wrong things, but you think it sounds right. And then you have ghosting. And it just goes nowhere. And so it's pretty awful. I kind of wish that we were back in the 70s and 80s and 90s before all this shit had to be on a digital device in our fucking pocket. But what are you going to do? I just haven't had a real connection or a good vibe with any woman in a long time on these dating apps with girls that are from the state of Washington. And even a few Oregon and Idaho and Canadian chicks somehow squeeze in there. I don't know how, because I only have it at 25 to 30 mile radius, which is some bullshit because Washington has something called the San Juan Islands that on a map, they're only 27, 28 miles away from Seattle or Auburn or wherever the fuck I'm at. So suddenly I get this hot chick. I'm like, oh, she's really cool. And, I'm a dude, so I rarely look at all the nitty gritties like where they're from. And next thing I know, I'm talking to a girl for a couple days, and it turns out she's on the tip of Washington in the fucking Olympics working on a crab boat. I'm thinking, son of a fucking bitch. But it's on me. You know, when you're horned up and lonely on those dating apps, you start ignoring certain things on those apps. That filter's not that obvious. It says they're looking for a third. I think they're just being funny. It says gay and lesbians only, but I think they're just trying to, stay woke. You tell yourself all that bullshit, and then you start talking to them, you're like, ugh. There's been a few where if I can't sleep and I want to knock one out, and, you just want to get that last nut out of you before bedtime, and you open up the dating app and you start swiping. You don't talk to anybody, but you swipe until you get the job done, go to sleep, wake up the next day, and like 5 of those 1,000 profiles you looked at now want to talk to you, and you're looking and thinking, I swiped yes on these? But that's on you, really. I have an imagination. I don't need to bring people into it that are actual people. Well, half of them are probably bots from these apps, so who the fuck knows? I don't mind sexualizing a bot or a fake account or a catfish account. They're not real. They don't have souls. What I don't want to do is sexualize an actual person like me who's trying to find someone truthfully, but every now and then you're just like, you know what? I just want to see what's out here, and I just want to nut one out. I'm trying my hardest to not use the dating apps for that anymore, because it's not fair to them if they are real and they see me and then I don't want to talk to them, or I ghost them, or I delete it or whatnot. It's just shitty on me. Plus, I have a pretty good imagination. And of course, I know most of you are screaming, hey, dumb fuck. It's called pornography. That's what everybody does. Yeah, I know it's what everybody does. And I'll be honest, I've been kind of on a pornography ban for the past 8 or 9 months. Because once quarantine started, like most people, my porn consumption slightly ticked upward. It never got crazy. I wasn't watching hours of it a day, but I definitely was watching more. And I started to think, this can't be good, because I've read a lot about something called PornBrain, which, in summary, because younger and younger and younger individuals are watching more and more and more porn, they become almost used to that style of fucking as the standard way of fucking. Now, I don't know who my listeners are, but I'm going to assume the mass majority of you have had sex at least once. You realize early on in your sexual life that what you see on film and pornography is not realistic sex. When you're watching Pornhub, you are watching the all-stars of fornication, okay? There's a reason why the NFL, the NHL, the NBA exists, okay? There's a reason the top players, the cream of the crop, if you will, rises to the top, and they're so good at what they do, millions and millions and millions and really billions of people want to see these people perform whatever acts they're good at. Well, a percentage of those people just happen to be good at fucking, either giving it or taking it, or both. And PornBrain normalizes those interactions. And I don't know if you guys have been noticing, and it's been a big turnoff to me, is how I would say commonplace porn, or I guess normal, or I don't know what I'm trying to say, just common porn has gotten kind of violent and rapey over the last decade or so. I've noticed it. Like, the prime porn was in the mid-2000s, okay? And I think it died around 2011, 2012. Ever since then, it's been snowballed into just weirder and weirder and weirder things. And I don't like where it's going. But my point is, I don't watch porn. Or I haven't watched porn in a long time. I think I was on a 5-month ban. And then I talked to one of my buddies who was joking about deepfake porn. And I thought, I gotta check out deepfake porn. And I watched it once, just to see what it was like, and I thought, oh man, that's crazy. And then I got scared because of how good it looked. But then I thought, it is Ariana Grande, so I finished. And by the way, just for shits and giggles, I wanted to see what was the most popular deepfake porn. I assumed it would be, like Ariana Grande, famous musicians, famous actors, athletes. The number one most popular deepfake porn, at least on the website I was on, was AOC. Ocasio-Cortez. I can't say it. I sometimes I can have that Latin twirl in my tongue, but not today. But anyway, I thought that was hilarious because that was not who I would have guessed. I did not watch it because I already finished. But then I hadn't watched it since then, and that was about 4 or 5 months ago. So, because I was feeling a little bit down on myself for using the app like that, and, to me, I was using the real women on those apps, and I wasn't comfortable with it. So I watched porn again a couple days ago when I couldn't sleep, and it was good. It felt like it was somewhat new again, because it was a long time. And I think when you watch porn all the time for a long time, meaning if you're watching it every day for years, which I know most my generation does, or maybe not every day, but I would say the mass majority of men and women of my generation, millennials and Zoomers, because let's face it, if I was born and there was porn on the internet, I don't know how I would have ever left the room. I would have become like a mole person. At least I got to be about 12 or 13, and then porn came. What the fuck was I talking about? Oh yeah, I think our generation has just overconsumed pornography because it was available. You talk to most boomers, I feel like, about the availability of pornography, and they're not into it. Some are, don't get me wrong, some are. But you would think more of them would be. Now, it could just be because my parents are older, but whenever I joke with my mother or father about porn or anything, like, why don't you guys just watch porn? They find it just, it's not for me. They both are very turned off by it. And I don't know many of my aunts or uncles that are into it, the ones that I can openly talk about it to. Believe it or not, talking about pornography with your parents and family members is not common to some people. Huh, what a thunk. But my point being, I don't know what my point is. I started talking about dating, the updates, and now I'm talking about pornography. So that maybe that's where it's at. How's dating going? Pornography's there. No, Jesus, what fucking point am I trying to make here? Watch out for PornBrain. Don't abuse people on dating apps. And hey, if you can't find someone local, expand your search. Maybe you'll find someone in another country. It could be a taboo still. I still kind of roll my eyes at it, even though I have firsthand experience to a point, because it just seems illogical. But once you take away those prejudgments and really look in depth at what's going on with yourself and the hopeful partner you're talking to, you can really break down some of those barriers. Anyway, I can. Anyway, I don't know. I don't know if I should be giving out advice like this. Sometimes I wonder who the fuck is going to listen to Angelo Grosso's dating or relationship advice, because I've never been married, no kids. All my relationships have failed. Mostly, I'd like to say, due to both people. But I would say there's a few that were all me, or the reasons why they didn't work. But I've learned from them. But my point is, don't judge. You can watch 90 Day Fiancé and think, my God, every single one of those Americans, mostly the men, are goddamn perverts. That's why when you watch 90 Day Fiancé, most of the men are like in their 50s, and the woman of my dreams is some 19-year-old hot chick from the Amazon who can barely speak English but has a smoking bod. And you're like, are you in love? Are you in love? Or have you just struck out with all the women around you, and now you can embrace your inner pervert because you're too old and you don't have any connections with women your own age because you're a man-child? And so what do man-child like? Well, I was going to say children, but they're not pedophiles, but they're that... Oh, God. Angelo, aren't you a man-child? Oh, Christ, I hope not. But anyway. So, if one of your best friends or family members comes to you, and they're like, you know what, man? I'm getting old. I'm not finding any luck out here. I'm not finding the man or the woman that I want to marry. But I've met someone, and they're in Tokyo or London or... I mean, you literally can name every country in the world, but you get my point. let's, oh man, I didn't get to my fucking journal. Son of a bitch. Just start talking nonsense again. Let's see, do we have time for at least one? Okay, we'll have to do maybe another midweek podcast if I get the energy to do it. So we'll do one journal entry and then we'll wrap this mofo up. Let's see, quick recap of what my journal is. Every now and then I come up with what I think is a good idea and I put it in my journal I have on my phone, and then whenever I have podcast time available, I will just read it. But it's been a while. I don't know why I do these so infrequently. Maybe I should do a whole podcast devoted solely to journal entries. Maybe. Anyway, I never really look at these journal entries again once I put them in. And usually the first time I'm talking about them on the podcast is the first time I've seen them since I put them in here. So let's see. That one is too much. I'm going to have to wait. That's a whole 30 minutes right there. So what's the next one? This one's good. The movie action. What? The movie. Oh, okay. Start over. The movie Action Jackson has the best opening action sequence I have ever seen. Oh man, I wrote that months ago. Now, for those of you that do not know the movie Action Jackson, let me pull it up here. Now, who does it star? No, not Last Action Hero, man. Come on, Action Jackson. Carl Weathers, that's right. Craig T. Nelson plays the very bad villain. Bad meaning he's a real good bad guy. It's got I believe was she a porno actress and then she became an actress? Vanity is in the film too. No, wait, she wasn't a pornography actress. My bad, Vanity. She was a Canadian model and lead singer. But every movie I've seen her in, you see a lot of tits and bush. I'm for it. And Sharon Stone's in it. Biff from the Back to the Future franchise is in this movie. Bill Duke, one of the best character actors, easily one of the best black character actors. Robert Davi, who's the king of the 80s and 90s henchmen. But this movie was made in 1988. It's only about an hour and a half long. But the opening sequence is a thing of beauty. And it's been spoofed by, I know it's been spoofed by The Simpsons. It's been spoofed by Family Guy. It's been spoofed a lot by those adult animation shows. Let me see if I can actually play it here. I don't think I'll get copyright issues because, who the fuck cares? It's Action Jackson. Dude, I can't even say that word. Action Jackson. Jesus, I'm having a fucking stroke here. Oh, okay, here we go. Here's the first, it's almost 4 minutes. Well, fuck it. You got nothing else to do. I mean, just listen to the music. It's got that late 80s, like steel drum synthesizer going on. Oh yeah, there's a helicopter coming in. It's all jet black at night with only the lights of the helicopter. And now you see the lights of, I think it's the Detroit skyline, if I'm not mistaken.
It's getting late.
Is this Detroit? Let's see here.
And I assure my esteemed colleague that since the death of our mutual friend and co-worker Samuel Norman,
There's a real evil son of a bitch at the head of the table. Looks like he's doing coke. And this woman is taking notes as he's talking.
I know who it's from, Frank.
Oh, Frank.
You hear that?
Oh, shit.
Probably my fate.
She stopped taking notes, but he's getting uncomfortable. Oh, she mentioned that she has a date to get to. Now he's getting all Harvey Weinstein on her. Oh my god,
Can't possibly have a better suggestion.
oh my god, he's immediately massaging her shoulders and tapping her tits. What an asshole. Oh, he's picked out a 1988 remote control that is the size of a water thermos, and it controls the shittiest looking surround sound system. This looks bad even by 1988 standard. Oh shit, Action Jackson's coming through the windows. Oh, punch the bitch through the window. But she's still alive, I think, but she's covered in glass. Oh god, so the chick is down, and she looks dead. Now, the Me Too guy has a gun, But suddenly the guys that burst through the windows have disappeared. Oh shit, he found one of them, but that was just the TV. Buddy, where is Action Jackson? Nope, nope, he just shot up his entire office. He's a really bad shot. You're looking for a tall black man, and instead you shoot a big bookcase and now your desk. Buddy, have you never seen a black man before? You're in Detroit, man. Come on. Okay, now he's backing up. That's probably the first thing you should have done, cockface. Oh, shit. Someone's above him. Oh, he burst through the window again. Drop kick through the door. And now he's all fucked up. Now he's bleeding a little bit. This guy's now crawling with his gun, trying to get the hell out of whatever fresh hell this is. Now he's running through an empty office. Oh, shit, a switchblade. Oh, I threw the hand. Oh, dude, this guy got a knife right through the palm. Oh, no, he gets punched in the fucking face. Oh, man, this guy's going to get it bad. Now he's surrounded. It wasn't Action Jackson. It was a lie. These are the bad guys. You only saw one burst through the window, but now there's 5 of them. And now they're following this man as he's barely hanging on a life. He's bumping at every wall, leaving bloody footprints and blood-soaked clothing marks all over the walls. Oh, shit. Now you see the biggest gun you've ever seen in your life pointed at him. This thing looks like it belongs in GoldenEye. He's backing up against the window. Oh, no one's ever got it that bad. He was on fire, and then he went through the window, and then you see a flaming corpse flying down like 30 flights of stairs right through this restaurant ceiling made of glass right onto these poor couples trying to eat. I mean, watch the movie Action Jackson. Duh. But at the very least, watch the opening scene. Amazing. Amazing. Hope I didn't spoil it for you. But on that happy note, I want to wish everybody a good, I don't know, what's the next holiday? Man, there ain't dick in August for holidays. I guess that's lucky that I was born in August. I guess my birthday is the only holiday that matters in the whole month of August. So, I don't know. Well, I hope everyone had a good 4th. Hope you didn't lose any fingers or limbs. Hope your dog didn't have PTSD or your neighbor didn't fight in any of the many wars that our presidents have put them in. But on that happy note, I love y'all. Take it sleazy. Don't do anything I wouldn't do. And yeah, catch you guys around the bend.